Hey guys, I just got the word. Um, Kevin Lacy has passed away because of cancer. Just over a year ago, we did a studio taping of our In the Hangar show at the studio, and Kevin came out with a lot of his students, his mentees that he's been mentoring from the Tango 31 Aero Clube, and he did a couple of episodes that we did, and he left the studio and got really, really sick on the drive home. And he reached out to me because he went to the doctors right away, and he told me that he had just been diagnosed with cancer. So that was a little bit more than a year ago. It was really hard for him. I've been talking with him. Actually, I just texted with him 2 days ago to see if he'd come back on the show because we're going to be shooting in a couple of weeks. And he was open to it, but then never got back to me. Now I know why. Um, Kevin really poured himself into the next generation of aviation. So, he made a name for himself with the whole airplane repo, and some people, of course, don't like that. Some people look at him as a movie star, but whatever. Kevin was the real deal, and he really, really put a lot into aviation that you don't hear about, that you didn't see behind the scenes, away from the limelights. When I tried to get him on to the show, he would always like bring others and put them in front. I mean, he wanted to focus on other things other than himself. So what I want to do right now, for this video, I'm going to play some of the videos that we've had Kevin on the show. I'll start with the first one, which was the first time I met him, which was about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, at AirVenture. I had him come on the show, and he kind of would only do it if we could talk about Tango 31 and not really all about airplane repo. So he came on, got to be friends with him, and then the next video I'll play is his interview that he did a year ago. And he also did a couple of pilot stories, and maybe I'll throw those in. But anyway, I just want to do a tribute to Kevin Lacy. So I hope you enjoy these. So Kevin Lacy, Kevin, thanks for being on the show. How much hassle do you get from having done the airplane repo show?
Oh, you mean from the general public? How much hassle do I get? Well, generally it's like, my airplane's paid for. Don't you come looking for it. You know? I mean, it's things of that nature, that, and I generally remind them that I've been hearing that for a long time now.
Yeah,
so don't try to
you're
fool
known
me.
for a lot more than just that.
Well, I got a stack of paperwork that says you're not correct on that. So,
All right, well, now, Christian, you guys go way back. This is the first time for you and I to really meet, but I've really been enjoying your book. And
well, thank you.
Yeah, and especially for me, because where the book takes place, well, your life, it's an autobiography, is I'm familiar with, that's where I live. So I'm very familiar with the area, and so I hear you saying flying out of Redbird or whatever, I can picture it. So in those early days, you talk about buying your first airplane. Can you recount that story?
Yeah. When I told Mom that I didn't have a car anymore, and I had a wrecked airplane and a motorcycle, she thought I had a death wish. I was 19 years old. I was working for a little junkyard. I called him Boneyard Bobby. We rebuilt wrecked little Cessnas or what have you, rebuilt them, stripped them, painted them, built engines for them, painted them all up and sell them, and for insurance jobs or whatever it was, and he had a little flight school there as well. And so some of the adventures we got into going out to hunt for airplanes and airplane parts for the airplane projects we had in the shop, I run across this little Tailorcraft. It was sitting upside down next to a barn, and it just had that smile on his face. It said, "Help me, help me."
I have seen that.
And, I mean, poor little airplane. The boss man I think was a little miffed at me because he couldn't find me to help me, help him do what he was
the real
doing,
work,
looking for stuff. And so I'm out there noodling with that airplane. I said, "Hey, boss man, you think this airplane's for sale?" He goes, "Go talk to the man. I'm sure everything over here is for sale." So I was hoping my boss was going to go help me out with it. He left me on my own to go in there and negotiate with this guy. And this guy's kind of a shrewd guy sitting over there behind the desk, looking at me all kind of. Keep in mind, I'm, 19-year-old kid. I don't know anything about anything, at that point in time, except that's going to be my airplane somehow or another. So, eventually I wound up going back to Tulsa, sold my car, came back with $1,500 cash and handed it to the man with a trailer and a truck to haul it back to Tulsa, or to Sand Springs, actually. And he gave me a couple of $100 back. I said, what's this about? He said, well, your boss man was pretty sure you were going to come up with the money to get that airplane, so we put a deposit down on it for you, and I'm pretty sure he wants you to get that deposit back. He gave me $1,500. He's giving you a couple of $100 back here. It's like, cool. So the boss was a pretty good mentor, and he put up with my juvenile delinquency for a bunch of years, but he also made me work, and he made me learn things. I mean, there's a book over there. Damn it, go over there and figure it out. Okay, I'll try.
Best way.
Yeah, it is. So that little Tailorcraft, I was out having a blast with that thing. I mean, it was ugly. It was ugly as sin. I mean, but it was so much fun to fly.
Had you even had tailwheel at that point?
No.
So how did you learn to fly it?
By almost crashing it several times before I even put the wings on it. No,
Oh, that's right. You taxied it without the wings on.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I got that little old engine all built up, got my props. I had my prop at the prop shop. I got the engine built up, I put a new windshield in it. The biggest expense was an ELT battery for it, I think, And I'm doing all this on the shoestring poor boy type stuff because I don't have a nickel. I don't have any money. And so I got the engine back on there, and I'm sure as heck wanting to run this engine, and the boss and all them are off to lunch, and I would take my lunch break and noodle with it, and then after work, I have to run off to go to Spartan School of Aeronautics up there because I was going to school up there. So I took advantage of all my lunch breaks, and I worked as best I could on the dang airplane. It was having a pretty good time. The engine's all ready to go, but I don't have a prop, So I'm looking around up and down the flight line. Well, there's Jay's Luscombe down there. It's got a 65 horsepower motor on it. That prop ought to bolt right on. Now, keep in mind, you need to know old Jay there. He's a pretty gruffy old boy. He was a Vietnam helicopter pilot vet, shot down 3 times, and just the kind that would love to pick on me, right? Kid, anyway. So I swiped the prop off his airplane, and I put it on there on a Tailorcraft, and decided I'm going to run this engine, and I'm out there hand propping it. Man, I can't figure out what it's going to take, I hadn't quite identified or figured out exactly what it takes to start that little engine yet. This is my first run with an A65, right? So finally, it pops. It starts, and it jumps the chocks, and it goes running that way.
Oh, no.
I go chase
With no wings.
With no wings on it, and nobody in it. And it jumps the chocks, and it takes off across the ramp going this way, and the gas pump is right over there by that truck, and it's going that way. Oh, my God. I run as fast as I can to catch up to it, and finally got the tail steered off a little bit, so it runs off the ramp and into the grass out there, slowed it up enough for me to catch up to it. Man, I finally got it stopped. I got the power back to idling. I'm standing there sweating for a little bit, and I think, well, heck, I may as well crawl in it, and do the engine run and do what I was here to do, right? So I got the engine running pretty good. I start taxiing it around it. This dang tail wheel stuff ain't too terribly bad, I think I could figure out the nose wheels back there. I could steer it I kind of get it, Well, nobody's coming, Normally we had an old chalky road coming up to the hangar in the FBO there, and you could see people coming to the airport for 15 minutes before they get there for the chalk dust in the air, And well, nobody's coming yet, so I guess it's still lunchtime. I think I'm just going to taxi down the end of the runway and try this out. So with no wings on the little airplane, I just kind of line up on the runway. I look around and I kind of ease the throttle in. I shove the elevators full forward. Finally, I just stabbed it all the way in, and tail comes up, and this is cool, man. All right. Pretty soon it starts hopping a little bit to the right. I go, oh, crap. I'm on those rudder pedals learning how to two-step all over again. We bounce off to the left side, it goes to the right side again. Next thing I know, I don't know what the heck happened. I was off by the side of the runway going around the windsock.
Oh, my gosh.
Son of a gun. It scared the crud out of me. So I thought, if this is how hard it is to fly a tail dragger, I don't know if I got the skills for this. So I taxied back out to the runway. I looked down the road to see if there was anybody coming just yet. And there was nobody out there, so I'm going to try this again. This can't be that hard. So I back down around the dadgum runway I go, and about the same place I was the first time around, that thing started hopping sideways and tail in the air, ripping down the runway. I don't know how fast I was going, but it was pretty fast. Scared the crap out of me. I keep thinking about old Jay's Luscombe and his prop over there that's on my airplane now. I'm going to have to pay for 2 props to get fixed. Well, down around the runway, down around the windsock I go, and I kind of sort of clean my britches out a little bit, and I think, well, okay, nobody's coming yet. I'm going to give it one more run. So back down the runway, and here I go. Oh, man. You know what? You may as well order up ice cream for my humble pie because I ate a whole lot of it that day, and it tastes a whole lot better with ice cream on it. And I went back up there to the taxi, to the hangar, to the ramp up there. About the time this dust trail comes running up, and I pull up and shut the airplane down, and I'm getting out of it, and here comes Jay. Hey, Kev. Wow, man, I see you got your prop. That's pretty stupid you trying to go down the runway with no wings on the airplane. I said, well, yeah, that's probably not good. About that time, Jay turns around and looks down the flight line and sees his Luscombe down there missing a prop.
Oh, no.
He chased me around that airport for about an hour. It was not fun. But, you know, the sad part is I think he almost gave himself a heart attack chasing me because back
Well,
then
then you could have kept the prop, right?
Well, yeah, back then I was pretty lean and pretty fast, you know. I mean, I'm still pretty lean and I'm still fairly fast for an old guy, but you know, I mean, anyway, that was my tailor craft. And then when I finally got the wing struts, I went down to the boneyard where Boneyard Bobby had, and found some wing struts that were down there, and I started chopping them up. I got the AC 4313 out, looked what scarf patches and splices are supposed to look like on a wing strut, and I welded me up some repairs. And by golly, here we go now. So I got the wing struts hanging on the side of the airplane, stab one wing on it, get the struts up there, the other wing up, ready to go. Dadgummit, now I'm out there. I pulled that little dumpling out onto the runway, and I said, oh boy, I hope this turns out better than the last time I tried this. I got on the runway, shoved the power forward, shoved the yoke all the way to the firewall. Radar power is what I call it. You know, your knuckles all the way up to the radar, right? And that little dumpling tail come up. Wow, this is kind of cool. Popped it up in the air. Holy crap, this is fun. It started flying around, and next thing I knew, I was doing touch and goes out there. And I mean, I wore that runway out for about the next 45 minutes for my lunch break. And everybody come by, hey, it handles a little better with wings on it there, huh, Kev? Yeah, it sure does, you know, but I had no idea. But, you know, back then we didn't have any requirements for a tail wheel endorsement. We didn't have any requirements for a complex endorsement, a high performance. None of that stuff existed back then, you know, so we just.
You just got in and flew.
Got in and figured it out.
Boss man threw me the keys to a Bonanza, says go pick up Mr. Nail's Bonanza up at Veneta. Here's the take 1-2 Sierra up there, pick up his Bonanza and bring it home. Okay. You ever flown a Bonanza? You don't need to worry about that. You know how to start the engine, don't you? Yep. You can get it started, you can get it home, bring it home. We got to do an annual on it. Okay. So, you know, yeah, essentially, if you went back to the regs of the day, I don't know how they are today because I think I learned them all already, you know. But back then, you could check yourself out in any kind of airplane you wanted to.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you really could. You have to go back and look at the revisions to the regulations and see how they've been modified and changed over the years. And some of the changes are not so good in my opinion, but, you know, anyway.
Whatever happened to that tailor craft?
That little tailor craft is sitting in my hangar at Aero Country Airport today.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Love that.
Now it's 3 months out of annual, but, you know, I mean, I love that little airplane. I've had it for, I'm not going to say,
at least
give
10
my
years.
age away,
Yeah.
but I've had it for, you know, most of its life.
That's amazing.
By the way, that little dumpling was also Arthur Murray Dance Studio's corporate airplane back in the day.
No way.
It also belonged to a character named Raymond Shy. Now, my airplane did not use it, but he trained John Glenn how to fly in a 39 model tailor craft.
Wow.
And he had my airplane over there. And he traded my little 46 model tailor craft, serial number 9709, even money, for a Staggerwing Beechcraft in 1951.
Wow.
65 horsepower, 2-seat tailor craft, even money for a Staggerwing Beech.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Well, you know, and you know, I went through all the microfiche that the FAA had, you know, back at the time. You know, and
I'm old enough.
And I went back and I wanted to find everybody that ever owned that little dumpling, just because I got it, you know, and if they're still alive, I wanted to let them know I'm going to take care of it, you know, and preserve it and be a good caretaker. Of course, you know, sometimes I'm a little abusive to it, but that's okay. But, you know, the guy that had the Staggerwing Beechcraft paid like $500 for it, government surplus.
Oh, wow.
He couldn't afford to feed the gas tank on that thing. So he goes over there, and Raymond's, says, well, shoot, I'll just trade you this one for that one. He goes, okay. So they trade. So now here's Raymond, and he came by my hangar in Addison Airport back in the day and visited with me and brought me a book with all these little stories about his events up there. His daughter was really cool to talk to, And so he's loading up the Stagger Wing to do a charter trip. He's got passengers loading up in this Stagger Wing Beechcraft, and here comes this guy with a CAA saying, Ray, hold up a minute. Don't you think you ought to get a pilot certificate? I ain't got time for that right now. I got a charter trip. Let's go. And he jumps in the airplane and flies off.
Wow.
3 times in a row, the feds were turned away. And finally, okay, I got one seat open in the back. You sit down and shut up and don't mess with my passengers. And the guy gets out of the airplane, gives him a commercial certificate. I mean, this is the way it worked back in the day.
That's quite a check ride.
Well, yeah.
Well, you mentioned Aero Country, and I want to talk about that, Aero Country Airport, because speaking of good mentors, you have become that good mentor to a group of young individuals at Aero Country Airport.
One of the coolest unexpected consequences of being on television, and I don't understand why, but one of the coolest unexpected consequences is that kids seem to think that I made flying look cool, and they want to go fly. They want to get in the game. They want to be part of this. And so that was, I was overwhelmed by it. As many kids were sending me messages on social media. Before the TV show, I didn't have social media. Nobody knew who I was except my friends and my clients, my bankers, and my lawyers and stuff, I was perfectly happy that way. I got my twin Comanche, got my T-Craft sitting over there in the hangar. I'm comfortable as I could be, leave me alone. Spent 9 months in Africa. I'm at home having a good time, playing with my little airplanes, buzzing around my T-Craft, And it's, the kids found me and constantly were showing up at my hangar and asking me for help. How do we get in the game? And so me and a buddy of mine, he was the last guy selected to fly the SR-71.
Oh, wow.
Who was Colonel Greg Spanky Barber. He did not get to fly the 71, but he wound up in the U-2 program for several years. We've been friends for a long time. He kept his Luscombe over there at my hangar. We're sitting there eating beer and drinking pizza one night, and he's, geez, Kev, we got to find something for these kids to do. And I thought, well, there was 15 kids milling around the hangar, tearing my toolbox apart and just noodling with stuff. And I thought, let me consult with a friend of mine, Michael Z, down at the Lakeland Aero Clube, and talk to him a little bit about how his organization works. Next thing we know, we started the Tango 31 Aero Clube. We had a barn fan Cessna 150 that arrived at the hangar on a trailer. And these kids put that little dumpling together. They built the engine. They stripped all the paint off of it. They painted the airplane. And one of the club kids, one of the original club kids, flew his solo cross country from Aero Country to Fond du Lac, which is about 10 miles down here,
Yep.
before he had a pilot certificate. Because anyway, so I went down, I landed over there with him, jumped into 150 with him so he could fly into Oshkosh. And that was actually really cool for him. He's now got a private pilot certificate. He's got his airframe power plant mechanic certificate. He is almost ready to get his instrument rating. And he is now a lead mechanic for Cirrus Aircraft over at McKinney, Texas.
Wow.
Yep, that's amazing.
Nah.
I love what you're doing for these kids.
Well, the worst of them is the hammer. I think he was scared of heights or something for a while. But we wound up getting him through his airframe power plant mechanic certificate, got him a gig down at Bombardier Aircraft Services at Love Field. He's working on Challengers and Globals. He's now first shift lead down there, hauling down some major bank. He wound up getting his inspection authorization earlier this year. And he comes to me and looks me in the eye. He goes, Kev, I was kind of leaving the airplanes up for the rest of the kids to get their certificates in. I think it's time for me to get mine now. Mm-hmm. And so in less than 6 months, we worked with him. He got his pilot certificate about a month or so ago. His first cross country was here to Oshkosh from Aero Country.
From Aero Country. That is quite a cross country.
Yeah, we brought 14 kids up here with us, so.
So Kevin, in your book and what you're doing now ties with it as well. It sounded like you wanted to be a pilot. You didn't want to be an aircraft mechanic. But, the school was doing a little bit of a bait and switch with all the Vietnam vets that were being released. And so you ended up, turning wrenches while you worked on slowly getting your pilot's license. Do you think today we're heading towards an A&P crisis?
Absolutely. Like I said, in the repossession business, once I've captured an airplane, it's my care, custody, control. I've got power of attorney by the owner, being the bank or the finance company, whatever, leasing company, whoever it is. And it's my responsibility to see that the airplane is preserved properly. And you go to Chapter 12 and Chapter 10 in the maintenance manuals, you'll find if the airplane's going to be stored for 30 days, if it's going to be stored for 180 days or whatever it is, and you got to find somebody to take care of that thing. Now, I'm getting a little long in the tooth, and it's not up to me to go crawling in the wheel well and checking the accumulator every 3 days, on a 747 or whatever. Yeah, I got to find people to do that. And finding people that can actually do it and will do it is becoming more and more difficult. Now, even if you find somebody that is qualified, most of these morons can't identify a bad safety wire job if you pointed it out to them. So, when I talk about this, even little Thunder standing over there right now, she gets her fingernails dirty, peeling, stripping paint, and doing whatever it is needs to be done. She can even twist safety wire. And I don't think her career goal is to be, in the maintenance shop, but she's got some good basic background and understanding of it. We're in a heap of trouble with what I see. Yeah. The old guys like me, with the tribal knowledge and the skills of how to make this thing work. Oh, you know what? If I bypass that, pin C and B on this little cannon plug, that'll make that work over there, and then we can get this airplane out of here. And, some of it's a little trickery, to make this thing work. But, some of these folks just don't have that aptitude or that skill when they come out of charm school.
We need to make AMPs look cool again.
Yeah, well,
so that we can draw
Kevin
more people.
does.
Yeah, exactly. We need to draw more of the youths into.
Well, and I think that what he's doing with the Aero Country, the club, and working with, those guys are not just getting their pilot's license; they're turning wrenches, right?
Every one of them.
Yeah.
So here's the deal, and as long as we can make it run this way, we're probably the biggest enemies of the box schools and what have you, and I really don't care. Because these kids most of the time couldn't afford to go pay $100,000 or sign up for a debt to get 300 hours in their logbook and a couple of certificates. But these youngsters here, they earn their rights to fly the airplane for the price of gas with an instructor. I don't think we've got a single Aero Club member yet that has spent more than $1,800 earning their pilot certificate. But they're also doing this in airplanes that they maintained, built, and restored. They build the engines, they do the avionics install, and they do the paint jobs.
Sweat equity. I like it.
I like it too. Well, Kevin, thank you so much. It's an honor and a privilege to meet you. I've been enjoying your book. Where can people get your book?
Well, at the present time, since we happen to be at the greatest show on earth, Air Venture Oshkosh 2023, you can go right over there at the EA warehouse, and I think I'll be over there signing it, if memory serves, 2 o'clock on Thursday, I think. And be doing an autograph session, signing books over there. If you're not here at Oshkosh and you can't find us anywhere else, go look on Amazon. I think you can find us just fine on Amazon. And,
yep.
I'm thinking about
Fly It Like You Stole It.
Fly It Like You Stole It, the early years.
The early years. So is there the later years coming?
Well, here's how it got started is I got my insurance agent, and I was down in Brazil for 3 years, and I was, where's Joe Merchant? And I keep getting these emails. So I was sending emails home once a week to about 75 or 100 of my closest friends with a picture of some wild event that happened down there. My insurance agent just kept sending back, like, she's laughing. She goes, "You don't take these emails and write a book. I'm going to do it." And so I thought, well, you can't just start in Brazil getting busted at Rio International Airport for breaching security. You kind of got to lay the groundwork for how did you get there and what kind of background did you get that give you the nerve to jump in a fence at an international airport, in a foreign country where they speak Portuguese. And, I speak Texan.
Right, yes, you do. And very well. And I'm from Austin, so I totally get it. Well, all right, so go buy Kevin's book. Kevin, you have a website or anything? Do you know what a website is?
Oh, yeah, I do. I think it's texasairfleet.com, as a matter of fact. I think for a big portion of the time, that website gets kind of ignored because I spend so much time with the Tango 31 Aero Club, social media and all that stuff with those guys, simply because, that's where the passion is at this point in time. And, it was really funny walking through a big crowd of people one day, and I had 10 or 12 of these kids with me. And these people are looking at me, oh my God, Kev, are all these your kids? You know, one of the little girls looked up and said, yeah, we're just from different moms.
Oh my gosh. Well, if anybody wants to help the Aero Club,
Oh, good.
how can they do that?
Call me. Here's my phone number. The Aero Club was everything we've gotten has been donated to us so
Okay.
far.
Okay.
We've got some sponsors with aircraft engine parts and things of that nature. Avionics. Well, we had to choke off with a bunch of money for some of that, but we've got I think a PayPal account you can donate through PayPal.
We'll add some links and stuff below
Okay, yeah,
in the
so
YouTube
there's got to be a
video.
website for that, right?
Yeah.
Tango31aeroclub.com.
Okay, so that's what
We'll
we'll
do
do.
that.
And reach out, help. If you do this, Kevin's doing amazing work with the young people and the next generation of mechanics and pilots. So, Kevin, love what you're doing.
Well, thank you so much, and that's Aero Club with an E on the end of it.
Okay.
That's
Well,
the deluxe version.
there you go.
Okay.
We'll make sure to put that there for you.
I probably ought to do my banker boy a favor and drop this thing in the bay. I think they got me here to tell you a little story, kind of an entertaining one, about a little 421 I tried to go capture down in Rockport, Texas. You ever had this aha moment where you realize that you're training your replacement and nobody told you this? Well, I take the bank that I've been a big client of mine for a pretty good while, and they've gone around capturing airplanes. They hired a young man who had his airframe power plant mechanic certificate, and he was going after his multi-engine and his instrument rating. He had a private pilot certificate as well, so they hired him, and they sent him to tag along with me to see how we do this kind of thing. Well, the 421 is a little bigger airplane he can fly, so that was obviously why I was there. We find this crusty old 421 at Rockport, Texas. And this thing, there wasn't a nut and bolt on it that wasn't pretty corroded up. It's got the sea salt stuff in the air, right? It's like one of those airplanes. So we grabbed it, we got it moved out. We played with the airplane for a little bit and realized, I picked up the phone and called his boss and said, I think a truck and trailer would be more appropriate for this airplane. He goes, oh, well, no, just squawk it out and tell David what you find wrong with the airplane. And then, you can hop on the airline and come back home. He'll drive you down to Corpus. You hop on the airline and come home. He'll stay down there and make sure it gets all fixed up. Okay, well, we had a ferry permit for the airplane anyway because we already suspected that it wasn't going to be in pristine condition. So anyway, I point out and give him about 2 pages on a legal pad of what I wanted to see before I wanted to saddle that airplane up. We got a crack in the rudder over here. We got brake fluid. The brakes don't work. There's all kinds of problems with it. Keep in mind these are Getso 520s, and you got turbochargers, you got fuel systems, and so in the airplane the fuel tanks have been dry for I don't know how long, but sitting out in that sea salt environment really didn't do that airplane any good. I mean, you couldn't move the throttle levers, you couldn't move the props and mixture controls. So he was going to spend some time down there. He was going to become a resident. He may as well get a dog, a wife, and a mailbox while he's going to be down there because it's going to take a while. And so about 2 weeks later, I get a call from him. Hey, Kev, I think I'm getting close, man. You ready? I said, well, how close are you? Have you run the? No, I hadn't run the engines yet, but I'm getting close. Well, all right then. You let me know when you think that's ready and when you think it's ready for me to take your mother for an airplane ride. Okay, Kev. And about 3 weeks later, I guess he wasn't as ready as he thought he was. So about 3 weeks later, he calls me and says, give me another week and I'll be ready. Well, all right then, good. So he calls me finally and says, all right, listen, today's the day. Now here's the deal. You were right about the landing gear. They won't go up and down, so we're stiff-legging the landing gear. That's the first thing. And so you think you can make it to where you're going with the gear down. So I'm doing calculations, fuel burns, and typical, scenarios. Yeah, we got that, no worries. I don't think the radios work too good either, Kev. Oh, great, okay. I'll bring a handheld and a portable GPS with me, and so I'm pretty well situated. I'm comfortable. I don't carry. I've flown all over the countryside without any radios, without any GPS or anything else. Texaco map and a compass. I'm good to go. I get down there and, all right, Kev, I want you to test run this thing. Make sure you're okay with it. I worked real hard on it. And I said, who's been helping you? Well, I got this guy that works on the boats down there at the boatyard, and he was out here to help me quite a bit, but he helped me with tools and helped me fix the rudder and helped me do a few other things. I'm going, oh, geez, this is going to be oh, well. It is what it is. So we push the airplane out, get it out on the ramp, light it up. The brakes work. I'm impressed. Engines run. Not very good, but they're kind of stumbling and they're mumbling. And, I get the power on up there, double checking on the mags, and that works. Bring them up a little more, cycle the props, do full static RPM checks. Hey, it's looking pretty good. I don't know. Maybe we ought to go give it a shot. But keep in mind, Kev, you can't pull the gear up. All right. He's kind of proud of himself. He was going to send me off in an airplane that he patched up for me, who he'd heard a lot of stories about me, so I guess my reputation preceded my presence on the ramp that day. It's time to go. And I pull the door to. Adios, Dave. Good luck. I'm going to wait around and make sure you get going. I'm going to climb 5,000 feet over the airport before I head north. I got a 200-mile trek here. And, it should take me about an hour and 15 minutes or so. I'm going to climb 5,000 feet just to make sure everything's fine. I get out there, I do an extra extended engine run, with the run-up area there, mags and prop and cycling, checking everything, make sure everything's all dialed in. Feeling pretty good about it now, you kind of got to get comfortable with some of these things. Some of them you can just jump in and fly away because you feel good about them. Some of them you just, there's that little voice in the back of your head says, this one ain't going to go. So I decide I'm going to pull out on the runway. I'm looking down the runway and I just bring them all up. Everything's looking good. Release the brakes, and I start going. And at about 85 or 90, I don't recall exactly what speed I was at, just getting about close to the time I was going to hoss it off the ground. And the gaspers opened up. The air vents, they opened up, and I don't know what it was, sea salt or what it was, but they blasted my eyeballs, and now I am totally blind. Going down the runway at whatever speed I was going down the runway at, totally can't see anything. And my eyes are not doing, it's like, oh crap. I am totally in the blind. I just hossed it off the runway and remembered the tree line down on the other side of the road down there. I hope I clear those trees. I'm trying to get one eye clean so I could see a little bit of something out of there. And my eyes were watering so bad, there was just nothing I could, I was almost a full-blown panic mode. No, kid, calm down, dude. You know what you did. You got it airborne. It's better than driving it through the fence at the end of the runway. At least you're in the sky now. You got time. You can clear your eyes, and you'll be just fine. So I think, well, okay, I must have cleared the fence. So I'm going to start a left bank here. Okay, I'm okay. It was one eye at a time. Just for a second or two because they're watering and they got that grit and that sandy sea salt. That's the only thing I can describe it as, is like sea salt in your eyes, and it just kept blowing at me. I'm trying to get the gasper. Where the hell did that come from? I'm trying to get the gasper turned a different way. So finally, I can kind of see out of one eye and blind in the other, and get the airplane turned to crosswind, come on around on downwind. I keep it climbing, and I get it up a little higher. And now I'm turning around and I'm trying to wait it out so that my eyes can clear up and I can see what the heck I'm doing. And I turn, now I'm going down the runway on an upwind leg there, and continue climbing. All of a sudden, I see these silly little Beechcraft T-34Cs from Navy Corpus. I think there's 5 of them, and they entered a traffic pattern down below me, and now they have got every corner of that traffic pattern plugged up. Doesn't matter to me. I'm going to North Texas anyway. It doesn't matter to me. Just about time I get to about 4,000 feet. What the hell is that? Oh, crap. What happened to my manifold pressure? All of a sudden now I'm burning, I'm doing like 30 inches of manifold pressure on one and 42 inches on the other side. And I go, oh, no, man. Well, airplane ain't yawing too bad, so I guess I'm all right here, Turn the airplane around the pattern one more time. And what's that? And as I'm trying to clear my eyes, I'm looking. I thought I saw a wisp of smoke coming out of the electrical panel down here. Nah, it's just my eyes messing with me. It's got to be my eyes. Everything's fine. So getting ready to turn my final leg to go northbound and head to North Texas. And now a big whiff of smoke comes billowing out of there. And I'm going, oh, shit. Gang bar everything. Off go the alternators, off go the battery switch. The electrical fire is down here somewhere under that, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it. And it doesn't matter. I don't need that crap. I got a handheld radio, and I got a portable GPS. Well, when I did that, the other engine started acting haywire. Guess what? The engine-driven fuel pump took crap on that engine. I was running on the electrical fuel pump, so when I gang barred that off, I lost my fuel pressure, and so now that engine don't want to run. I got a turbo on this side that don't want a turbo, and I got my gear down. I'm like, oh shit! Now what do I do? So I'm now trying to figure out where all these airplanes are in the pattern, trying to find my handheld radio and get the frequency dialed up, for the airport so I can make a radio call. I still can't see worth a dang. So I'm circling around the airport and looking down there. Okay, well, poor dude, it's going to suck to be him because I'm going to cut his ass off. So I'm spiraling down into the traffic pattern, and I pick my slot and I dive in there. He's coming out on a crosswind, and I dive in behind him on crosswind. He's turning downwind. And I get to thinking to myself, I probably ought to do my banker boy a favor and drop this thing in the bay. It would be so easy for me to just drop it in the water on base leg there, for final, and just put him out of his misery with respect to this airplane. And as I'm getting along down there towards getting close to turning base, I just had my boots polished this morning over here at the airport while I was waiting on the airline to come down here. I got my handheld GPS. I got the gear down. These things don't land in the water too good with the gear down. I'm likely to wind up upside down. Oh, good Lord. Screw it. I'm going to make him deal with it. Take my suggestion and put it on truck and trailer. I'll bring it back to him, put him on the ramp, and tell him to take me back to the airline and get me home. So, anyway, I managed to roll it on the runway, get it back over there, pulled up on the ramp, and old Dave goes yelling at me as I shut the engines down. I guess it ain't as ready as I thought it was, huh, Kev? No, Dave, it ain't as ready as I thought it was. So he picks up the phone, calls his boss, and I have no idea what's going on about this, but he tells the boss tells me, oh yeah, just take him down to Corpus, put him on the airline, and send him home. Okay then. So I call my girlfriend, tell her I'll be riding back on the airline, I'm not going to come home with the airplane. So, okay, I'll pick you up at the airport. Okay, great. In the meantime, I had no idea that my client and my girlfriend had talked about what had happened during the day. And I didn't think Dave told anybody anything of much consequence either. But when I pulled up on the ramp, shut that thing down, that thing must have dumped 10 quarts of oil on the ramp. And what turned out to, I didn't really care about that airplane much at all. It was pretty crusty and should have gotten a chop saw, before we even decided to try to haul it off there. But I lost a turbocharger on that side of the airplane over there because the oil line that goes to the turbocharger wastegate, the wastegate that controls the turbocharger, had ruptured. And it was pissing oil all over the turbocharger and everything else out there. And that explains that. The electrical problem, I never even bothered looking at the electrical problem to figure out what that was. So, the moral of the story is I wind up going home, pulling off, getting out of the airline terminal, going, my little girlfriend's over there. I jump in the car with her, and she grabs me by the collar. She goes, how was your trip, honey? And I said, oh, it was just fine. She goes, is that smoke I smell? Oh, geez. So, anyway, there you have it.
First of all, I'd like to introduce you to our esteemed guest, Kevin Lacy.
Hi, Miss Christie. Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too.
How are you?
Doing great.
Good.
We also have on the show today Max and Savannah. So you guys are part of the Tango 31 Aero Club, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And Kevin, you oversee that club.
Yes, ma'am. I'm kind of one of the founding directors. But is that really his name, Max?
Is it?
Looks Brillo to me.
Brillo. Oh, okay. All right, Brillo. And so what's up with these nicknames?
They're call signs, woman.
Call signs?
They're call signs.
Okay, cool. Well, then what's my call sign?
Well, you don't have one yet. You got to earn it.
Not yet. Okay, so is
gotta
that how
earn it.
you earn your call sign? So we've got Brillo.
Yep.
Oh, please tell me that story.
Oh my
Look at
gosh.
that mop on his head.
There it is.
It looks like a Brillo scratch pad.
Okay, fair enough.
Especially when he's wearing a ball cap. It's even funnier.
Okay, what about Savannah?
Thunder? Well, I don't know.
Thunder.
Yeah, she just
Oh.
she takes command of the hangar as best she can, And,
It's not because she's loud?
well, that's too. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
But, you know,
Gotcha. Awesome.
So her presence is known when she's here.
Perfect.
Let's put it at
Okay.
that.
Well, how did you start the Tango 31 Aero Club? The last I saw you, you were repoing airplanes.
Well, yeah, I'm training my replacements.
Oh.
No, these what I realized is that I've been so busy with my world doing my big airplane stuff, Boeings and Lears and everything in between. And then I realized that there's no replacements coming up the pipeline there, and those ones that are doing it are going to these flight schools that charge them $100,000 to get 2 certificates, and they're still useless. They don't have any flight time and any experience. These youngins, I look at it, and $300 an hour for a 172. Really? These youngins can't get a job for more than $10 an hour slinging tacos over at the nearest hamburger joint. So
They serve tacos at hamburger joints now?
well,
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
yeah, well, you got to try them.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. But the sad part was, at $300 an hour, and these youngins are trying to pay their way like I did, or at least I think that's the way the world works still. I paid my own way, but it was $6 an hour when I was a kid, and it's $250 an hour, $300 an hour to hop in a 172 and go saddle up and ride around with a 250-hour flight instructor who doesn't know how to fly either. So now all of a sudden, I see these youngins because of the TV show just start showing up at my hangar, and I don't know why. They came to the hangar and said, you make flying look pretty cool. Can we hang out with you? And I go, well, yeah, I don't know what we're going to do with you, but come on, hang out. So after about 2 weeks went by and couldn't get rid of them, I decided, well, I started looking for a project for them. And we found a Cessna 150 out in the barn out there in East Texas, and went out there and hauled it back to the hangar. Said, all right, you peckerheads are going to fix this airplane, build it up, you're going to learn to fly it. We are? Yeah. That's exactly what you're going to do. And they dove right into the middle of it, and I just stood over there and told them, do this, do that, do this. They built the engine, they wired in the avionics. I mean, these youngins, they may be stupid and, juvenile delinquents, but, they got some talent, too. If you put them to use and kind of teach them what to do, they can get in there and do it.
They take direction.
Well, yeah, not very well sometimes, but we get them going. And so far, they've done really good jobs. They've built several engines now, and we've ran them on test cells. We put them in the airplanes, and they fly all over the countryside in those little airplanes. They're earning their pilot certificates. We've got 3 airframe power plant mechanics out there now. We've got one of them with his inspection authorization. One of them works at Bombardier Aircraft Service Center down there at Love Field. He's a shop foreman for the Bombardier Challengers and Globals. Got another one that's a shop foreman at Cirrus Aircraft Service Center at McKinney. Little Miss Ponytail. She graduated Embry-Riddle down there with an aeronautical something or another. You know what her degree's in?
I don't.
Anyway, she got her a big old degree down there at Embry-Riddle, and she's commercial multi-engine instrument rated. She earned her private pilot certificate in a little airplane that she helped build and take off a trailer. Graduated high school a year early, and then got her a scholarship. These youngins, you just give them a launch pad, and they'll run with the ball if you give it to them.
That's amazing. Savannah, I'm sorry, Thunder.
Yes, ma'am.
How did you get involved?
So I had shown interest in aviation, and a good friend of mine is actually co-workers with Blue over at Cirrus. And so he kind of showed me to the hangar, and so I wandered out there, walked to the hangar, been there ever since.
Just showed up at the hangar one day.
Just showed up at the hangar one day.
That's usually how it works.
Been
All
there
right.
for a year and a half, so.
All right, and Brillo.
Yeah.
Okay, how
So
did you get involved?
I wanted to fly for a long time, and so I went down to Las Vegas, down back there in August, I want to say, to fly with one of my dad's friends because he had a Cessna 175. And it turns out Thunder over here decided to talk to a big guy from Southwest down when they went to Oshkosh, down at the air show over there, and he told me to talk to her about the club. So I called her one day, woke her up from a nap, apparently, and she was just like, come out on Saturday, and I've been here ever since then.
Then
Okay.
I showed him around, so.
Yeah.
You just got sucked in.
Yeah.
That's usually how it happens. How do you guys feel about having to put in all this sweat equity into these airplanes that you eventually wind up flying?
That's
love it.
honestly the best part about it. The best part about the Aero Club is the fact that we get hands-on experience, and so it also teaches you a sense of responsibility because you're flying those airplanes, and you're going to want to take care of them because you know that if something happens to it, you break it, popped a tire, had to bring it back to the airport and fix it. So, you're working on these airplanes, and so when you work on them, you also want to make sure you're thoroughly inspecting it, doing your job and really making sure that, you take responsibility for your actions because you're the one flying it.
That's
And so it
amazing.
teaches real world. We learn a lot of real world skills. We have kids who come in who can't even air up a bike tire, and they leave and they can change tires and clean spark plugs, and they know how an engine works. And so that's what's really cool. It's a really great launch pad for us.
That's amazing. Do you guys have to pay anything to be part of the club?
We do have a membership fee.
Okay.
So it is paid when you first join the Aero Club, when we turn in all of our paperwork and stuff.
Do you mind if I ask you guys how much it costs?
I don't
Sure.
care. What is it this year?
I think it's 100.
That's it?
150,
150
bucks.
150 bucks to join.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Do you have ongoing like monthly dues, or is it just a one-time?
You pay $150 to join, and then you put in your sweat equity, and you get to fly the airplanes for a discounted price. So
That is incredible, you guys. How many airplanes do you have now?
We have that are flyable right now. We
Yes.
have two Cessna 150 trainers that we have. We
Okay.
have Cessna, we have 63337, and then we have 8635 uniform. And we store those down. One is at a tie down, one's at a hangar. And then we have, actually, his Tailorcraft doesn't fly. Or does it?
Wants to know about your airplanes, not
Oh,
mine.
those are, and then
My
right now.
Tailorcraft is not yours.
I was just going to name all of them.
No, well, no, just name your
Oh, do you have
airplanes.
them work on your Tailorcraft?
No.
No, we
That
haven't.
would
We
be
have not
genius.
touched that.
Oh, no.
Oh, that would be genius,
They've got their
though.
own T-craft.
Okay. They've got their own Tailorcraft?
Yes.
Well, we also have that we pulled out of a swamp down in Louisiana, Cessna 172, that we've been working on for around 2 years now.
Pulled out of a swamp. All right.
It's got Dynon touchscreen avionics.
Yeah.
Swamp Hawk, okay.
And then we have just donated to us pretty recently, a T-tailed Piper Aero that we've been working on. We just finished doing the inspections on the wings and the inspection on the wing spar bolts and the bolt holes. And we have a clip wing that we have upstairs that is waiting for our attention. It's a clip wing Tailorcraft, and as well as a Cessna 120.
So you guys have what, 4 airplanes that you're working on, plus 2 that are flyable right
Yes.
now?
Yes, ma'am.
And then 2 future ones.
That is crazy. That's amazing. How many kids do you have in your club now?
You want to count the ones that are off to college who keep coming back like a bad penny, or just the ones that show up every week? I mean, we got about 18 that show up every week.
Yeah.
I mean, we get together 3 days of the week, and there's 15 to 18 of them show up, and some of them are out flying with some of our flight instructors, and some of them are just out here working on the airplanes in the hangar. I mean, every single bit of it, nobody gets out anything. I mean, the girls pack wheel bearings, they can do compression checks on the
Oh,
engine.
100%.
They know how to.
I've been known to pack a wheel bearing or two.
They know how to time a magneto. As a matter of fact, we've got a little O200. These youngins flew 530 hours in those 2 little airplanes last year, and that's reasonably impressive, considering that half the time they're in the hangar for maintenance for one reason or another, a 100-hour inspection, or for one reason or other, something's going to get broken or something broken. We have to get it fixed or get find parts in the market somewhere to support the airplane. But well, it just is what it is.
Okay. What are some of the club's biggest accomplishments that you guys are most proud of?
We have a handful of kids who come in and they walk out with, they have pilot certificates. Kevin was talking about our AMPs, and one of them's IA, and we've got people getting, going to schools and getting their advanced ratings. And so we've got a handful of pilots, and we've got a handful of people who walk in the hangar knowing nothing. And then, I'd never seen an airplane in person until I came out to the hangar. And now, I'm working on them 3 days a week. And so what's really cool is that you walk in, and some of the accomplishments is we fall in love with the general aviation community.
You guys are some of the coolest people I know. Seriously, that is so cool. I wish that there had been something like that around when I was a kid. Oh my gosh, you guys are so lucky. What would you say are some of your biggest problems or obstacles that you have to overcome?
That's actually a great question. Us being a 501c3 nonprofit, we solely rely on our amazing sponsors, and we have people who donate to us, and that's how we run off of those people generous enough to give to us to help us better ourselves in our careers. And so just making sure, we have enough money to fund our projects and pay for insurance. Insurance companies want to insure these airplanes that teenagers are jumping in and flying. So there's that. And then our other biggest thing, I would say, is hangar space. Kevin has let us operate out of his personal hangar all of these years.
I don't have a hangar anymore.
He doesn't. So we use his personal hangar, and we have, as we're listing off, a ton of airplanes. So we have, airplanes down at tie downs, or people are letting us store it in their hangars. And so space is the biggest thing for us. The more projects we get in the door, the less space we have to roam around. So
I would say tools is another big issue.
tools is another big issue.
Tools and parts.
No, they will not put my tools back in my tool.
Oh, no.
No, yeah, they will not put my tool. My Snap-on tools do not belong in your Harbor Freight toolbox over there. Kids. No, and I do not want. I want my Snap-on tools in my toolbox so I can find them when I need them.
All right. I do have to ask you guys this question. You guys I noticed that Aero Clube is spelled wrong. There's an E at
That's
the end
not
of
spelled
club.
wrong.
Well, then what's that about?
We're the deluxe version of a club. No,
Aero Clube.
actually, I was made an honorary member of the San Jose dos Campos Aero Clube in San Jose, down in Brazil. Just north of São Paulo. I had captured 3 Boeing 737s down there, and I had one at San
As
Jose.
one does.
I had one in San Jose, one in São Paulo, and one over in Rio. And the Embraer, the jungle jet makers down there, had their manufacturing base there. But on the other side of the airport, they had their little Aero Clube. And so their their chief jungle jet test pilot, he was a member over there, and he invited me over one day, took me out flying around his little P-82 or P-92 Tecnam or whatever it was. We sat down there and drank some Brahma beer afterwards, and he made me an honorary member of the San Jose dos Campos Aero Clube.
And you brought that here to North Texas.
Well, I was down there 3 years. It just kind of stuck with me for a while, But yeah, I brought it home.
Okay, that's fair. It seems like you have a soft spot for the club and for these kids in particular. Is there anything that you would say stands out as like the most, the best accomplishment that you've seen from them?
They show up.
You know what? That's huge.
We're not a member of an EAA chapter. We're not a member of AOPA. Don't support us. EAA doesn't support us. The high schools, we're not affiliated with them. They don't get any accreditation for anybody anywhere for showing up at the hangar and spending their 800 to 900 hours a year. Each one of them spends about that many hours a year at the airport. And I think the fun part is we gang up and we go to Oshkosh, and we go down to Sun and Fun. They get to fly the airplanes for the price of gas. And, my phone will go off. Oh, crap, who's flying now? Well, there goes one of them. I never know who's flying one of the other airplanes, but it's okay. It's good. I remember when I was a kid.
Well, that is amazing. And honestly, you guys are amazing. Seriously, for showing up. And I have so much respect for you guys. So, and of course, we love you. So
Well, thanks.
if anybody wants to help fund your cause, where can they go?
Well, our hangar's on 10045 Kennedy.
Just come drop money off.
We've
airplanes.
We've got a web page, checks in the mail. Yeah, it's T31 Aero Clube.
Aero Clube with an E at the end there.
.com. Yeah, it's the deluxe version. And I think we've got a PayPal account. We're on Facebook, and we've got some stuff. We try to keep up with all that social media stuff. But,
Okay.
Anyway, you can find us. We're pretty easy to find.
Awesome. Well, you guys keep doing what you're doing. I follow your page on Facebook. Of course, you and I are friends on Facebook.
You see some of the catastrophes we go through?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, but I love it, and it's super inspiring. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Well, it's kind of fun to watch these youngins try to figure out that round handle makes the gear go up and down. The hydraulic fluid comes from back there, goes up here. From the basic 150 to see the light bulb go off, and I was like, oh, that's what that is.
I know some adults that can't do that.
So do I.
Yeah.
So do I.
Awesome. Any final words?
No, I'm good.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, no, thank you guys so much for coming. It's always a treat to hang out with you, Kevin.
Well, yeah, we make it entertaining as much as we can.
Yeah, we do. I'm still waiting for that call sign.
Oh. Ooh, Miss Christie needs a call sign. Huh?
Yeah.
We got any more club members back here? Let me see.
I have an idea.
Okay, let me see. There's Mouse. There's oh shoot, we got Cinderella back there. There's Plowboy and Dagwood, Beach Boy over there too. So what's Miss Christie look like? What does she remind me of?
It's got to be something about those amazing leggings.
About those
How much is leggings?
Well, I already gave up Britches.
You did have the britches.
We got another kid named Britches. I don't know where he's at. He shows up in his underwear. I mean, he won't wear long
It'll be 30
pants.
degrees and it's shorts.
Yeah,
Yeah, as teenagers too. Well, we'll definitely come up with something later.
We'll have to work on something. Yeah,
Awesome.
We can work on it.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you guys so much. We'd like to thank our sponsors, amazing sponsors. I'm solo today, so I'm going to try to remember all of them. We've got Flying Eyes, the best flying eye vision for your flying eyes needs. Taking off all caps, one word for 10% off Flying Eyes. All right, we got Clemens Insurance, Jerry. He saved Dan a ton of money. Dan needs all the money, so that's good news for Dan. We got Marshall Protective Services. They will protect you. We got 67 Designs, the best camera mounts for all your camera mount needs. We got Colton Mortgage, coltontakingoff.com. We got Z-Vision, the brightest lights imaginable. They'll see you from like 50 miles away. I can guarantee it. Anyway, guys, all jokes aside, thank you so much for our amazing sponsors and for our amazing viewers. It's you guys that help support the channel. You can continue to support us by liking, subscribing, sharing our content. We'll see you all next time in the hangar.
You know, blue skies, tailwinds, Kevin. I appreciate what you did for aviation.